got a plan and I got a vision. You don't understand and you can get missing. I won't let you ruin my tribe with division. I'm taking aim and I shoot with precision. I'm really the girl that these girls wanna be. So naturally feminine, but still a G. Where she get her vibe, she stole it from me. Where she get her, but I'm never tripping, you know how I do. I'm glad I could sprinkle some game on you, boo. I just let souls flow to me like water. Stunning these boys and these girls are my daughter. Aquarius energy, ho, I'm too wavy. 25 and I still ain't got no babies. I'm making sure that the path that I'm paving is sturdy enough to maintain a foundation. I'm talking knowledge of self and creation. God in the flesh, legends in the making. My babies gon' know what they bring to the table. If you disrespect, then they flipping the table. Make sure they know that they are fully able to manifest what they imagine, no favor. I'm talking home birth and homeschool, ain't no cable. Immediate raising my children, you crazy. You do what you want. I'm not into hating, but I'm just different. The picture I'm painting, yeah, that shit vivid. I hope you can see. But it do not matter, cause it's meant for me. Me and you ain't got the same prescription. I got a plan and I got a vision. You don't understand and you can get missing. Peace. Hey y'all, hey, Maya Kiana here. Welcome back to the Live and Love podcast. And today we have another special guest. This special guest is Protegee of Purpose. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about her before she tells y'all about herself. Protegee of Purpose is an author, a poet, a spoken word artist, an advocate for love and healing and empowerment. She's on a mission to restore the minds and spirit of melanated people. She lives with Spina bifida, which she views as not a disability, but a testimony designed specifically for her. Protegee of Purpose was raised by a supportive family that empowered her to pursue her aspiration of being an entrepreneur. Her book, titled The Black Memorandum, is currently available on Amazon, so be sure to go get that. Without further ado, Protegee of Purpose.
Hello. Good evening. How's everyone doing? Thank you, Maya, for having me.
Of course, thank you for coming.
Yes. So, Protegee of Purpose, she did a really good job of explaining it already. I can tell you what Protegee of Purpose means. I believe that everyone has a purpose, and I have my purpose, and I'm a student because protege is just another name for student or pupil. So I'm a pupil, I'm a student of my own purpose. So that's Protegee of Purpose. And she pretty much said it. So again, yes, I'm a poet, a spoken word artist. I'm an author. I have my book, The Black Memorandum, that I'm proud of, my very first book. But that's just the surface part. I have many conversations where it's funny when someone asks you to tell you about yourself.
It's the worst.
It's like you get on the spot, but we also tend to go with the surface things that as far as like what our attributes are and how we identify ourselves. So on a surface level, I'm going to answer that question in two ways. So on a surface level, pretty much what she said, I'm a woman, a melanated woman at that, which I'm very proud of, a poet, an author, and a spoken word artist. But I also feel like I am, on a spiritual side, a spirit being that is returning back to her true essence. So that's the whole nature of Protegee of Purpose. And in doing that, you're constantly evolving, constantly growing until you get back to your most high self. Mm-hmm. So that's Protegee of Purpose. And what I do is encourage other people to do the same as I'm embarking on that same energy. So I'm actually growing with you all as well.
I love everything about that. It just makes me think about my business, Live and Love Boutique. Mm-hmm. Our mission is to help instill self-love into melanated women.
I love that.
I feel like we are the epicenter of society here in America. So once we realign, everything else will fall into place, not immediately, but inevitably. Mm-hmm. So you were definitely on my list of people I would like to talk to.
I love it.
And this was even before I learned that you had a mission to restore the minds and spirit of melanated people. This was just based off of me seeing you perform your poetry at TJ's open mic.
Yeah.
And then me purchasing your book. And your spirit. Like, I just knew it was something about you I needed to communicate with. So thank you again for showing up.
Absolutely, thank you. And then thank you again for having, I really mean that, because once you showed me, you told me about, you actually you invited me, the nerves, you invited me to your podcast, and then I saw the description of what your mission was, I said, oh yeah, I gotta go on. I love it. Like everything about self-love, especially with my journey, I love what you're doing, and we need to be doing that more often, especially as women, like uplifting women, all of us, the men too, because I'm a big advocate of uplifting Black men as well, or melanated men of any, what would you say, tribe?
Diaspora, I guess.
Yeah, diaspora, yeah. So yes, that still does include your Hispanics and things like that. So, but yeah, I'm thankful. I kind of went on a tangent, but
Okay, so I do want this to be like a free flowing conversation. Do you mind if I ask some questions?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because you just made me think of something. What do you feel like, or do you feel like there is a need for that hard drawn line between what people would consider Black or African American and other people of color, essentially?
Mm-hmm. All right, ask that question one more time.
Do you think there is a need to separate Black people, African Americans, from other people of color and focus on them specifically for certain things?
So that is a very tough and very sticky question in one sense, only because, as I said, I've been on a journey of study and learning about, what we call, and I'm going to quote, Black history and things like that. I want to, first of all, push out the word Black only because, again, in my studies of what I've come to understand it to mean, like the etymology, which I really feel like people really should really get involved with learning the etymology, because there is such thing as word spells, and what the energy behind those words and those sentences, it then molds you as a person, your behaviors and your mindset. So I wanted to say that first, but I feel like that's so sticky because I'll say yes and no. There's theories that all people that are melanated or whatever comes from Africa. And then you have those that are saying, no, but we're Indians or we're Native Americans. Who knows? Because, you know what I mean, you get so much information that seems to be valid, and you don't want to be separatist in a way, because we do come from one another, if you get what I mean. Like, we do come from the same source, but we're also very diversified. Right. So to just separate, oh, we just need to do Africans, is not really helpful to the rest of the melanated diaspora. But I do feel like if you, for an example, what I'm doing, you want to start with, it's almost like if your house is burning and this other person's house is burning, it's not burning, I should say, but it's, how do I want to say? It's smoking, yeah, or something like that. You're going to go to the house that's burning, and then you can get, you know what I mean? So that's how I look at it, not so much of being separatist, or, you know what I mean? Because we all, it's a trickle-down effect. However, what I focus on, yes, I do separate and unapologetic to help with our, what we call, or what is known to be Black community first. And then that trickles down when you empower yourself. It's almost like you can't give all the love that you have until you are able to pour some of that love to yourself, and then you're able to, you know what I mean, pour it back out. Hopefully that makes sense.
It really does. It was very helpful to me, because that's something I deal with my target audience being, I say melanated women, which people will equate to Black or African American.
You're right.
And sometimes I deal with that, like, is this right? Because I know we are all one.
Right.
But at the same time, the way you put it makes a lot of sense, because I felt that, like, I feel like we need to get ourselves together first and then focus on the wider. Or
even simultaneously. You know what I mean? As you're healing and growing, you can then put, because this book, yes, it's for Black people and Black melanated men and women. But a lot of other people can learn from this, because what we're learning is that ignorance is just, and I mean that in the actual sense of the word of what it means, not ignorant like you acting crazy or anything like that, but ignorance in that you just don't know.
Right.
And a lot of people, Caucasians or other races and things, they just don't know. So you're not at fault to one extent, but yet you are, because there's too much information circling around for you not to know. You know what I mean? Or to start to have that, that spark to actually do something about it and to help humanity as a whole.
I love that. Thank you. Another question I had, excuse me. So what would you say or did you notice any key differences in working with melanated women and melanated women? Do you separate the two groups when you're talking or you're discussing them, or do you kind of talk to melanated people as a whole?
I do both.
Okay.
We got black women issues, we got black men issues, and then we got a union issue. And it is so, what is the right adjective I want to use? It's so much pressure. And it's so heart-wrenching because you hear all these, I'm about sick of some of the podcasts that's just like going at each other, and it's just like, let's just hold black women accountable for the things they need to be accountable for, black men accountable for the, things that they need to be accountable for, and then as a group bring it together. So I do both of them.
How is that in the space of men? I'm asking because I also felt that in starting my business, like, well, men need healing too.
Yeah.
But the feedback that I get from a lot of people is that it wouldn't be received well. It would kind of be like a waste of time in a way. Like,
I don't believe that.
No? Okay.
No, wait. I mean, what do they mean when they say that?
Basically, some people feel like men don't want healing.
That's silly to me. You know what I mean? That's silly because maybe they don't. I don't know how to.
She's like, I never even. It's not even.
Yeah, I don't see that. Sometimes I would say we don't even know that we need the help. You know what I mean? Sometimes we're so blinded and we think that something is the norm, that we need to be awakened to the fact that, you know what I mean, you need healing, buddy. You need healing, sis. You know what I mean? And so because then if they don't, it manifests in different ways in how we behave and interact with each other. So I definitely feel like black men need to be healed. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to uplift men and even more specifically black men and our women. Okay. Yeah, I understand that one.
That's why I'm like, a lot of times, like, when your perspective is like so much higher, it's hard to even grasp.
Yeah, I understand.
So my next question was, I watched an interview of yours recently where you talked about spina bifida. You explained what it is. I want to direct people to that interview so they could get her views up, first of all, because that podcast is, very intentional as well. But if you feel like giving us a little bit on what it is and your experience in dealing with it. But my primary question was, how has having spina bifida affected or coincided with your creativity?
Okay, yeah. So first of all, shout out Survivor Not By Chance. That's who she's referring to. Love her. Her name is Asia Carroll. Had a great time on her podcast as well. And then I think I should give some context of what spina bifida is. So spina bifida pretty much is a spinal defect where, how did I explain that? Where pretty much when you are about 23 days after you're conceived and the seed starts to grow in the mother, at some point your spine begins to start growing and developing, but there is a opening in the spine that doesn't close all the way. It's almost, think of it like a zipper. This is how I say it. It's almost like a zipper. So you got one side of the jacket and the other side of the jacket. It's supposed to have the zipper to zip up, but you ever have one that, and I actually talk about that in my book, it's called Spina Bifida, is where you trying to zip it up and it's like it gets stuck and it leaves an opening, and like you get cold in the draft and stuff. That's how my spine was. So it didn't develop properly, just to say it in more simple terms. And so, your spine affects everything from the way that you walk, mobility, and things like that. Some even with cognitive development, some with emotional development, so on and so forth. So then that leads me to how it has affected my life and how it correlates with my creative writing. I pretty much use writing as a coping mechanism, a therapy, through the things that I was going with spina bifida, because you have a difference and you're learning to accept yourself. You're learning to be okay and acknowledge that you're different when you're in a society, when you're in atmospheres where you see people that mostly walk straight, or that don't that walk straight or do things a little differently than you. You have to learn to not take that and to pretty much internalize that or personalize that as if something's wrong with me. And I think everybody has those types of insecurities, so it's not specific to just people with spina bifida. We all have insecurities of some sort. There's always something that is unique about us that, we may think, it sets us apart in a bad way. So going through those from childhood to teenage years, I had a lot of emotional, issues to deal with. I suffered from depression, sometimes from low self-esteem and things like that. But with writing and being able to find that out, which was by accident because I just started writing, and then also too in my family I just have writers, so it didn't fall far from the tree that that talent would come to me as well. But I was just writing before even sharing it with anyone, but it helped me to, I felt a relief when I was able to write things that was bothering me, from everything from not feeling accepted or feeling isolated to relational problems and things like that, with friends, with family. And then as you get older, of course, you get into your
romantic
so it really helped me. I actually literally felt like a relief when I would write things and write it out, and it made me be able to process things more.
I absolutely love that. Live and Love Boutique, our main form of expression is writing. I host journaling sessions. I sell journals, so I'm very
I gotta check you out.
Yes, it's so important. It's so important. I'm glad that you just said that.
Yeah.
I lost the question. But.
Which, by the way, I have evolved from. I'm not in that state anymore, thankfully, because of writing and for the support system that I had in my family as well. Still go through things. We're women, and you're always gonna find something. They're like, I don't like this about me,
right?
But that goes to the lay of the land. Yeah.
Thank you for that response. The next question I wanted to ask. Well, you kind of touched on this. What does writing do for you? Why do you write? We can go to the next question if you didn't have anything.
I will add on something else too. The other reason the other reason that I write is it helps other people. And once I found that out, because I used to just write for myself, and some family members got hold to my writing, and then a couple of teachers, but they're like, you know what I mean? You have a talent here. And then I started, sharing it with outside people, whatever. And then the feedback that I got, it did something to my heart. So it's like, I gotta, you know what I mean? It's healing, it's helping other people, and it's inspiring other people. So, yeah.
Protégee of Purpose. Learning your purpose. That was dope. So this next question, which I feel like is a question I'm going to keep around for everybody that comes on the podcast, because personally I believe that the kids are the future. I mean, it's not even a personal belief.
That's my favorite. Yeah.
It's a fact. Like, the kids are the future. So I'm asking everybody, what do you feel is our responsibility to the youth?
I love this question because that's the part I did not tell about my background as well. I actually was a preschool early childhood education teacher.
Me too.
Yes.
I'm cracking up, and so is Mars, who just left.
Oh, really? I love it. We need it. For about 8 years, I worked. Yeah, what did I say? I worked with preschoolers for about 8 years, actually at Penn Children's Center. And then before that, though, I worked at a Drexel program that helped mothers that was like, healing from substance abuse and things like that. And I would watch their children in the other room while they had their meetings and things like that. And I absolutely adore working with children. Like, I love it. It is a passion of mine. I actually went to school for early education before. Well, I did that. I transitioned into that because I was a business major at first, a marketing major. And I was like, yes, I love business. But that passion for helping people, and then especially kids, it got to my heart. But as Black women, I feel like first thing is we should be teaching them how to critically think for themselves. Mm. There is too much propaganda. There is too much dogma and indoctrination that has affected us. So that gives us a greater responsibility to heal, to think critically for ourselves, to break through the chains of indoctrinations that doesn't really serve our higher purpose. So I feel like we should be teaching our children that. And as women, we're the nurturers of the universe or whatever. And I feel like we should be instilling those values that will take someone far throughout their journey here in this realm of existence, such as integrity, trustworthiness, those types of things. Those things will take you far. It will take you far. And then just basic life skills, economic skills in the house, health, consciousness, those types of things. I feel like that's where we're really important. And there's one more thing, and it's escaping my mind. If it comes back, then I'll bring it back up. But those are just a few things that you, and self-love, like how we're doing.
I was going to say that.
Love, because we're just naturally like that, most of us. And then those of us that aren't, it's still in there some way. Just probably needs to be awakened. And then also, if you're a product of your environment, that may affect your nurturing spirit as well. But most of us, we're just nurturing like that, and we really need that in our community. We need that for one another. We need that for our children. We need that for our men, so that we can break this curse and bring us back into union and unity.
Balance.
Yes,
absolutely. That brings me to another question. How do I word this? What are your thoughts on providing a child-friendly environment for children and maintaining a balance of self-love for adults?
I think
that makes sense. Because we just finished talking about this, and I feel like I'm a bit of an extremist. Because of how I grew up. I feel like my mom kind of sacrificed, I don't know, I feel crazy saying it now, but she kind of sacrificed like the things that she may have wanted to do to really give her all to her family. Yeah. And I lean a little more to that side because that's how I was raised. But there's a lot of people, and I do believe that balance is important.
Yes.
So I wanted to get more of a balanced perspective on it.
Okay. I can do this. This is a deep question. I definitely, and I mean highly recommend there be a balance. And it's hard to do that. We talk about, I can't help but think of my sister and my one, because we have these conversations all the time. We don't have children yet, but even in your role in other areas with your family and things like that, it's difficult to find balance. So when you bring children into the mix, as I said before, you can't pour into something or someone else when you're empty, when you're depleted, when you're depressed, when you're not healed, because all that does is transitions that energy to that child. So I feel like you have to have times where, yes, sacrifice is inevitable. but you gotta push. You gotta make time for yourself, even if you say, okay, Thursdays. And I'm thinking of Thursdays because that's specifically the day my sister and I talked about for our me day. So just if you pick Thursday, be committed to yourself the best way that you can. The best way. I mean, it has to be close. Let nothing get in the way, not even your own self. Because we're nurturing and because we are so giving and we use our hearts and things like that, we'll find an excuse to say, oh, well, my child needs this and my husband needs that. And, you know what I mean? It's like, how you going? You can't do it. Like, you know what I mean? It's really difficult, but I really feel like it is very important. And it's something that almost you need to make a part of your commitment. You know what I mean? Just as much as you're committed to those children. Because they'll see that. And then they'll think that they have to sacrifice themselves all the time for someone. You know what I mean? That's the value that you're instilling in them. I wouldn't want to instill that in them. Take care of yourself.
I'm smiling because it's like it's a reality check for me because I don't know, it's vulnerable for me to even like talk about my family.
Well,
like,
this be vulnerable. I'm for the vulnerability. I'm serious. That's
Mommy, I love you. Don't take this the wrong way. But I definitely agree with that because it's like now when I think of it, I feel like I'm kind of in a rush to accomplish all of my dreams and build everything before I have kids because I want to be able to basically build my life around them and give them everything, not even really thinking about like the balance that's required. And another thing,
because you're a good woman, that's why. That's why.
Thank you.
That's how we think, you know. But yeah,
the balance is definitely needed.
This is something that's very. I'm very passionate about these type of topics and conversations about, you know. Everything womanhood. I know I still look like a young tenderoni, but I'm a whole almost 40-year-old woman, and I'm still learning these things. And I feel like we also compare ourselves a lot too, and that kind of hurts us as well because I feel like at this age that I am. I should have accomplished this. I should have accomplished that. I should have been this place in life. Why don't I have kids yet? Why don't, you know what I'm saying? So those types of, and what you said kind of sparked that. It's like when you self-reflect, we can ask ourselves, is that something that we feel that comes from our essence, or is that something that society put on us and told us that we needed to have and that we needed to do? We need to be this place at this time, at this age, and things like that. You know what I mean? So I'm still a work in progress. I work through, I'm going to use another thing my sister and I talk about. I love this phrase that she uses, and that's, I think I'm going to get it right. It's consider all things, but believe nothing. But I add, until you know something. And that knowing is going to actually come from you, from inside of you, nowhere else. You can take in the information, you can take in different resources as consideration as you mold who you are and what's good for you. And I really am really passionate about that because that's something I'm still working through. And it doesn't, you know, I may be 50 years old. You know what I mean? I'll be 40 sometime next year or something like that. I'll be 50 years old. I'll be 60 years old. If you still learn it, as long as you learn it before you know what I mean, rest your eyes from this world. Well,
wow, you said consider all things.
Consider all things. Believe nothing. Believe nothing and consider all things.
Okay,
yes.
I want to name the episode at this point.
And I added until you know something, and that knowing is going to come within you. It's not an easy thing. Sorry, it's not an easy thing to do, but
I love it. Yeah. And this is really what we need. I feel like these conversations and putting them out there. I'm more of a personal person. I don't know. I kind of believe like I can fix all my problems on my own. But communication is definitely a really important thing. Yeah. So, yes. How has communication helped you on your journey? Know it's something coming behind it.
That's that's another thing that I'm really passionate about, communication. And as to date, I'm not going to get into details or anything like that, but as far as I feel like I need to mention this, when you are, because this relates to family structures, and with my family, we are, we share some of the same values spiritually, economically, and what's the other one? I'll just use those for right now. Spiritually, economics, and one more. So we're not only elevating to a spiritual, higher spirituality, we're also coming together to build economically as a unit. And then we're healing at the same time. That's the word, healing at the same time. And doing all those things together, because my family and I, we do a real estate investment business. And to do all of those things together, communication is something that is pivotal. Mm-hmm. It is so important. And you have to learn to understand one another's communication styles, backgrounds, because even though you're in a family setting, we still have different backgrounds, and even if you came up in the same upbringing, you still, that you take from it different perceptions and things like that as it relates to how it affects you and how it molded you as an individual person. Right. So to work on yourself individually and then come together as a unit, communication is really important. I'm still working through it. I feel like I do pretty well, but I always feel like there's always room for improvement, and I feel like that's something that you should always take with you. You should never get to the point where you feel like you can't learn anything from anybody or you have all the answers. I think that's a recipe for disaster for yourself. Mm-hmm. The growth mindset is something that carries you through life. So communication is really, really important, because there's so many factors that go into communication. Understanding, because it's like, if you don't, there's a meme or something that's going around. It's like, what's the point of talking if you're not actually understanding where that person is coming from? Then you're just talking. A lot of compromising instead of sacrificing.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Break down, like, what's the difference?
Yeah, so compromising is, okay, well, it sacrifice is always going to be a factor, because if you're compromising, there's something that you're sacrificing, but it's not that you're not getting something in exchange. Okay. You know what I mean? That you're not benefiting in some way. Maybe not today, maybe at another time or whatever, but you're getting, and it's the real estate term that's coming in my mind, you're getting your return on investment. Okay. So you're investing in exactly. You're investing in one another for the benefit of the whole. You know what I mean? So, it really is important, communication.
And then I want to, I want to ask from a perspective of self-love. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like communication is a luxury? Or do you feel like you owe that to the people around you?
I don't know. I gotta meditate on that. I gotta think about that one.
I'm saying, but
go ahead.
Just asking because sometimes we feel like in the space of self-love, we want to tap out. We don't want to talk to nobody. We want to spend time with self. Do people deserve an explanation for that? Do people,
Okay. In that case, I don't want to use the word like you owe someone something, but if you want a harmonious relationship, it goes hand in hand. And anyway, and I'm not just talking romantic relationships, I'm talking about family, friends, co-workers, and everything like that. I do feel like you deserve that space to not feel like talking about it at the time, but the issues need to be addressed at some point. So maybe like, hey, I need a timeout right now. I feel my body. I want to peel your muffin cap black blue right now. So I'm just going I just need some, let me go to my she shed. And then we can come back and talk about that. I feel like that is healthy, healthy communication, yeah.
Okay, I love that. All right, before we time out, I want you to be able to plug yourself, any resources that you would recommend or that you have to offer.
I would say study. even things that you're not comfortable with or is out the norm of your belief systems and things, doesn't mean that you have to believe them or anything like that. But like, look at all the historians. I'll just point out some ones that I've went through or I've came in contact with. You got your Dr. Claude Andersons. You have your oh my gosh, Dr. Henrik Clark. Just a lot of people. Anthony Browder. Who's some of them now? Even Dr. Umar's a little crazy. But but even he has some valid things. And then just on the economics, just search out different scholars of every category: history, economics, spirituality, and things, and just broaden your horizons that way. Those are resources that I use, and yeah.
Thank you for that. I love that.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Please go cop my book, The Black Memorandum. Yes. And the favorites, I can tell you the favorites that people have talked about was Prison Freedom, I Land You to Island You, my favorite black song, Spina Bifida. Please go check that one out. It's available on Amazon. It's some really good things, and it relates to black empowerment, love, and healing. It's just a collective of poems and just different gems and shared stories that complements the poem. So please, it's very healing. I got feedback that it was healing, inspiring. People really have been affected by the book, so I want to spread it out more than it has been. So
love that. Look, y'all know I don't ask nobody for nothing. I'm working on it. But I'm asking y'all to go support. We supporting with this podcast, so y'all go support everything that we got going on.
Yes. Go support Maya.
Yes, like, subscribe, share it around. Yes. And we signing out.
Awesome. That was great.